It's day 5 of our 7-day challenge, building up our creative confidence so that we can love what we create. In day 5, we are going to be exploring, that's right, our confidence and talk about how we can love what we create and how we can love it more. Learning to take away the barriers of our inner critic, perfection, fear, and allow our true, authentic self to emerge. Let's talk about it. Hello, my name is Krista. I am a full-time artist focusing on portrait painting and landscapes too, and also helping others see their creative amazingness too. All right, so confidence. How do we define it? How do you define it? Webster's dictionary defines it as a feeling or consciousness of one's powers or of reliance on one's circumstances. More to the definition, faith or belief that one will act in a right, proper, or effective way. The quality or state of being certain. A relation of trust or intimacy, and reliance on another's discretion. So, confidence. I'm hearing certain words: trust, reliance, being sure of oneself, believing in oneself, right? These are all things, being certain, certainty, the feeling of uncertainty is can scare us. And that can be a part of fear, right? Uncertainty, not knowing, what can become of whatever or whatever we do when we step through that door, and being uncertain. That's fear. And there's so many other ways to define that within our creative practice. But how do you define confidence within yourself in defining you as an artist? Now, for the longest, when I decided that I was going to not work in finance, have a 9-to-5 corporate job, and I was going to stay home and I was going to create, I was going to be an artist. And it took forever for me to say, I'm an artist. Even when I would be out and, people always ask, when you go to a party or dinner party or you're out and people are like, what do you do for a living? You always get that question. And, when I worked in corporate, I could easily be like, well, I'm blah, 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 blah. I'm a, VP of blah, blah, blah. It's so easy to say that. But then once I left that life and decided to follow my passion as an artist, sometimes I was a little embarrassed, not embarrassed or ashamed of myself, but I didn't feel like I was a full-fledged artist. And why is that? I put a lot of, I don't know, I felt like, I'm self-taught, so I didn't go to art school. I don't have the artist pedigree that many artists do. So I always kind of felt like I was behind the 8 ball when it came to art. So I was always, scared to approach a gallery because I didn't have the resume, expensive art school education to, go up in front of them. And I felt like, people just make fun of me. Self-taught artist. What is that? That's not a real artist. And so I was always scared to call myself an artist. And one of the things I did, before I left my career is I worked with a business coach because I needed to understand how to change my structure, when you work in a 9 to 5 structured job and then you leave that to be on your own to run a business, and I put that in quotations because at the time I didn't believe I was running a business, and I haven't really figured that out till recently, really. But um, I use the coach. It was really, really helpful for me, because I needed to hear certain things and I needed to understand what my path was going to be like as I moved forward in this decision. And so as I left this full-time job, I needed to know how to uh, go about my day. I needed to know how to be an artist. And I didn't feel like one because, again, I felt like I just didn't have all the writing on the paper. Okay. So, how confident do we feel within our creative practice? I admit I don't always feel confident. Even to this day, I don't always feel confident. There's always something, the inner critic, fear, perfection, all these little things that come into play that kind of knock me down a bit every so often. And, how present are we? My husband used to tell me all the time, um, be where your feet are. Be where your feet are. Stop thinking this over here, down there, 6 months from now. Where are you right now? And are you aware of where you are right now? So, are we present? Are we aware of who and what we are at this moment in time, even if it's not what we aspire or achieve to be, but are we aware of who we are right now? And are we aware of our abilities? Now, a lot of times, and I say that in a way, are you aware of your abilities? Because I don't think we're always aware of our true abilities. Just like the story I told of the Mother's Day at the Paint and Sip. And the woman's artwork was absolutely gorgeous and she didn't see it. She failed to see what she was capable of. She refused to see it. And, finally, after some, nudging and pushing, she started to see it, but she did not see that. And I think that's a problem with a lot of creatives. We look at our work and we don't appreciate where we are right now and the abilities that we have at this moment in time. And then another artist comes over, like my story of how we did the self-portrait and the other artist, we did the same pose. And the other artist, I think I said that was that day, I'm messing up my days. I think I talked about that in day 1. Did I take day 1 of the challenge? And she thought my painting was better. And I'm like, really? I don't think that. And so I sometimes fail to see my abilities at this moment in time. But other people can. And so I need to listen more, listen to what's out there. Yeah, we don't want to hear sometimes because we don't want to hear the rejection. We don't want to hear someone saying, your artwork is horrible. What you're doing is horrible. So I think we close our ears. We don't want to hear it. But because we're closing our ears, because we're so scared to hear the negativity, we fail to hear the positivity, right? When someone's like, wow, you are doing an amazing job. And our answer is, well, no, you are doing an amazing job. And say, yeah, I am. I am. Be confident enough to say, you know what? I am doing an amazing job. I know that's hard. So do we trust our process? to get us where we need to be. And I know we hear the word trust the process, trust the process. You hear it all the time. But it's true. Do you trust your process to get you where you need to be? Do you, when you see yourself getting chaotic and wonky in the process, are you like me and give up and like, I can't finish this, so it goes into the unfinished pile and I start over? Or do you fight? Do you fight for it? Do you say, nope, I'm not giving up and I'm gonna push through? You know, how do you handle that? I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, I don't handle it very well all the time. And it's one of those things that I need to work on. So again, can we rely on our process to bring us success? Are we confident enough to know that when we start that painting, no matter what happens in between, we're going to get there. We're going to get there because we understand our process and we trust it. That is tough. I'm going to be really honest with you. I think what happens is a lot of times what happens, and I'm going to be really honest because this is how I feel. We take art classes and we see other artists create, and we'll watch them do a demo either on Instagram, or maybe you take a class and everything they do looks so perfect, right? They'll do a time-lapse video and it's like boom, 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 and all of a sudden it's like it's perfection sitting right there in front of you. You see no mistakes. You don't even really hear or feel what the artist is probably going through inside their head, but you see perfection because in your mind, you are confident that they know what they're doing, right? I'm going to give you a little secret. Now I can only speak for myself. I don't know how other artists feel, but I'm pretty sure I'm not alone. When I worked at the Paint and Sip and I had to teach, when I did teach in person, and even when I teach now, even when I have to do a live and I am painting in front of people, I'll be really honest with you and be really, really honest right now. I am a wreck inside. I am so scared that I'm going to screw it up, or it's just not going to look right, or the imposter syndrome is going to come forward and everyone's going to see what a fake I am. I feel that way every single time I get up in front of people and have to paint or perform or teach. I'm always fearful that people are going to see right through me and they're going to know that I have no idea what I'm doing. And I know what I'm doing, but that fear is always there. And, I want to be really transparent about that because a lot of times, I will do a presentation or I'll paint and everyone's like, oh, this is so beautiful, da 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 da. And, me, I think it looks horrible, a lot of times. And I don't want to share that with people, but I want you to know that that feeling is valid. It happens and we feel that way, and it's okay to feel that way. And like, you're not the only person that feels that way. And I'm pretty sure that every artist, unless they are, I don't know. And yes, there are some artists, when I went to the Art Students League and that artist, the instructor, was just really not a nice person. And he was just very cocky and just very overconfident. It wasn't really helping me at all the way he was. And so I stopped going to that class. But I'm pretty sure a lot of artists go through that same feeling when they are doing a demo in front of people. And I- and I'm sure they don't share it, and you don't know that they're screwing up and they feel like everything's going to crap. Um, but those feelings happen and they're valid. And I just wanted to share that with you. I don't want people to think that, all artists or teachers or, some of the artists, even in artists that have their stuff in museums or whatever, they all struggle with a confidence. They all fear being rejected. They all feel like, wow, this isn't good. Oh God, me. What if nobody comes to my opening, or what if nobody comes and participates in my class? We all go through those same feelings. So I just wanted to be transparent and share that feeling that I do feel that way sometimes when I have to do a demo. So it's so much easier. I'll give you it is so much easier for me to film by myself, swear, cuss, yell, whatever, and edit all all those things out and the mistakes, and just show you the good stuff. It's so much easier for me to do that. But is that, when I do that, how authentic am I being with you? So that's the question, right? It's being authentic. And it's hard because being 100% authentic here in this space is hard because I don't want people to see me fail. I don't want the imposter syndrome to come forward and say, you are not, you have no idea what you're talking about or what you're doing. So I need to work on these confidence. And we're going to talk about in a bit some techniques and things that you can utilize to help you through with these feelings, because I get them too. And I think it's really helpful when we share and we're vocal about how we feel and how things make us feel. Because I think sometimes I feel alone in how I feel. And if I hear somebody else say, hey, this, that, I'm like, ugh, you are my friend. There's somebody else going through that issue. Okay. I will ramble on. I ramble on and I apologize, but I do like to tell stories and I like to add some of my own personal feelings to the discussion so that that this is real. It's not, I don't stand up here as, this perfect, human being. I share my flaws so that I can help you as well. Story time. Let's go into story time. So, because I think this is really, really helpful. And I think it's important. And I think it's a great discussion to listen to because it's helped me through building confidence, especially when I used to work at the Paint and Sip. So I'm going to talk about me working at the Paint and Sip and confidence and what I did to gain that. So I talked about, when I quit my job, I needed to make extra money. So I worked at a local Paint and Sip studio. I worked there for about 7 years. We had 3 different studios and I would teach all the time. I'd teach birthday parties, little kids, adults, this, that. I'd go out and do mobile events for like 250 people. Like I did a lot. It was tiring. And, when I first decided to do that, I remember I was out, my husband and I, we went out to dinner and we were in the discussions of me quitting my job. And my husband was like, well, if you quit your job, we still need to bring in some type of income. So you need to find some other way to make some money. You don't have to make the money that you were making at your job, but we do need, you have to have something coming in. So I was like, so we passed this studio, Peyton said, I'm like, what's going on in here? This is the first time I saw this. And we're looking, we go inside and people are, they're painting and there's music and there's a bar. It looked incredible. I was like, what is this? And so my husband was like, this is perfect. You're going to call the owner tomorrow. You're going to send them an email and you're going to work here. And this is how you're going to make your extra money. So I was like, okay, go home. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't stand in front of people and teach and be entertaining. And, I can't do that. I'm an introvert. Me getting in front of a group of people is like, that's fear. That is fear. And, so I made up every excuse in the book why I shouldn't do that, why I shouldn't work there. But again, my husband was like, nope, that's what you're going to do. You're going to send them an email and that's where you're going to work. So I gave in and I sent them an email and I was hired. And they were confident in me that I could do it. And they had me teach. I did a few assisting. And then I think a couple weeks in, I was teaching my first class. And boy, was I scared. I was like, oh my God. And so they give you instructions. So you have step-by-step instructions that you follow. And you follow that and you can just kind of teach the class that way. And everything's broken down step by step. And so I practiced and practiced. I was so scared. And I know how I get because I ramble on when I get really, really nervous. Like I start breathing heavy. I lose my train of thought. I start kind of rambling. I lose, I get messed up when I have to speak in front of people. And so I had to think of ways to different type of exercises so that I wouldn't ramble on, that I would stay on topic. We only had like 2 hours to get this done. There needed to be a break so that they could go to the bar and drink more. So everything was timed. And so this is what I did. I practiced. I even wrote down a script, but I didn't follow it. And I practiced my intro. So if I could get the intro going, I had that and I practiced that in the mirror. So, but there was one thing that I did that has always helped me when I am scared and fear getting up in front of people. So, there's a TED Talk, and I love watching TED Talks. They're so informative, but there's one that always speaks to me. And it's called Fake It Till You Become It. The speaker for that TED Talk, her name is Ann Cuddy. And she tells a story, she tells stories throughout, that you don't have to be, completely the at your highest point, right? You don't have to be perfect, right? You just have to believe that you can do it, right? You fake it. And if you keep faking it and believing in yourself that you can do it, you will become it. And she tells a story about on an interview, and she did a whole study about it and how she studied people going on interviews, and that if people, before they get into their interview and they go into the bathroom and they stand up with a Wonder Woman pose and say, and speak with I am this, and positive affirmations, that they were more likely to have a more successful interview and get the job than someone who just kind of goes in and wings it. So I thought that, this TED Talk, it really kind of spoke to me because I am painfully shy, and getting up and talking to people, a lot of people, one, is tiring, but it is scary for me. And the last thing I wanted to do was start hyperventilating because, and sound like I'm nervous. I wanted to sound natural. So that's what I did. Before I taught my class, I went in the bathroom. I stood up like Wonder Woman and I said, I got this. I can do this. I am going to do an amazing job and they are going to love me. And I stood up there and in front of the bathroom mirror, and I did that. And I taught that class. I taught the hell out of that class, and I didn't hyperventilate. I wasn't breathing heavy. Another tip that I did was when I knew that I was, starting to ramble and go in a different direction, or I was losing my train of thought, I would focus on a specific area of the room, right, that can snap me right back into where I need to be. And so that worked as well. And again, I taught the hell out of that class, and I continued to work there 7 years later. I was the lead instructor. I was in charge of training all of the instructors, and I was really good at what I did. I embraced it. I enjoyed it. Yes, I am an introvert. Yes, I am painfully shy, but I was able to incorporate that fake it till you become it mentality and be successful in it. Now, when I was done teaching, I was exhausted. But I was good at it. So TED Talk, Fake It Till You Become It by Ann Cuddy. If you Google it, I encourage you to watch that TED Talk. It is really inspiring for creatives. And, we can say we're an artist. Even if we don't feel like we're an artist, we need to tell ourselves that. Why? Because we need to continuously, repetitively say it. I'm an artist. I'm an artist, because the more and more you say it, the more and more you will become it. And even though you're physically becoming it through your practice and play, you are mentally, in your head, you are becoming it. So that's my story. In the end, again, I worked at the Paint and Sip for about 7 years. I had to leave because of COVID. We shut down, and then I ended up moving across the United States. But working there, really, it was, even though it was kind of silly sometimes, and a lot of it, I was spending a lot of time painting in a style and doing stuff that really wasn't helping me business wise. It definitely helped me confidence wise. It gave me the tools to feel confident that I was an artist, that I could stand in front of people, I could teach with confidence, even though inside I'm feeling like I am falling apart and I'm failing. One more story about that, because it just came into my head. There was one class through the 7 years that I've taught, only once did I fail, and I failed badly. And so it was in the beginning. I think I had only been working there about maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And I had to teach a sold out class. So a sold out class was like 50, 55 people in the room. And I was like, okay, so I would always get there really early so I could mentally prep and prepare. Well, my assistant didn't show up. So it was just me. And so just imagine, 50 plus people in a room, and I have to guide them and teach and so forth. So I was already stressed out, and I was still kind of new, still kind of green with the whole thing. But so you had to greet people at the door, you had to make sure, and it was really difficult. And I was still setting up, and I was stressed already. And so I start doing the demo, and I missed a step. And so I'm sitting there painting, and there's dripping involved, and it's like a sunset. I'm trying to remember, but it was dripping, and I missed a step, and it was like dripping this blue, like, so everything just looked horrible. And everybody, I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, like everybody's painting looks horrible. Like I am leading people into this hole of failure here. And inside I panic. And I'm just like, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to, in my head think, luckily, luckily, everybody was drinking heavily, and there were like a lot of bachelorette parties that night that nobody really cared. And in the end, it was really bad, and I got a really bad Yelp review too from that. But and I didn't want to work there anymore after that. I was just so bent. And at the time I was working with a business coach. And I told her about it, and she's like, "Well, why do you care? Are those people, are their lives ruined because they had, you messed up on the paint? Did they even realize you messed up?" And I'm like, I don't know, maybe the one person that wrote the Yelp review knew I messed up, but everybody else was having a good time. No one really realized it. And I just kind of played it off. I walked around and I was like, ooh, yeah, and do this and do that. And so I was just kind of playing it off. And I think only really one person, she's like, well, why do you care? Move on. Dust off the failure and keep going. It's really not that serious, she said. And I took her advice, and that's why a coach can be really, really helpful, especially when your confidence level starts kind of petering out, and you're like, I want to give up. I want to stop. I want to turn around and go hide. So that's my paint and sip story. So moving on. I'm rambling on with my stories, but I mean, they're really kind of helpful in sharing and being transparent that, we all feel this way. We're all feeling like, sometimes I just don't feel confident enough in myself to call myself an artist. And I have to utilize like the TED Talk and utilize different techniques and tips to help me build that confidence, right? My inner critic is always there trying to protect me, keep me in my little cocoon so that I don't get hurt. And I do strive for perfection. I do. I want things to be right. I want them to look good. And sometimes I don't, maybe it is good, but I'm seeing, I put the blinders on and I just see right in that little tunnel there, and I can't see outside of it. And yeah, I fear rejection. Sometimes I can't handle it. So this challenge is I'm just trying to provide some tips and some practices that you can utilize to help you build up your confidence and let the inner critic go quiet and not strive for perfection and take on fear. Like, yeah, I can do this. So building confidence in your creative practice can feel like a constant tug of war, right? Between self-doubt, the inner critic, and artistic ambition, the push to be perfect and not face rejection, right? It's constant tug of war. And let's not even talk about imposter syndrome, right? Where we don't feel like we're good enough to even define ourselves in that light. But we can do this. We can. Here are some strategies to help you conquer your inner critic and that I've utilized to help me deal with all those little things that I deal with when I'm teaching a class and having to do a demo in front of you and I don't want to mess it up. And, let's work towards unleashing our creative amazingness. All right. So, number one, embrace the journey, not the destination. Focus on the joy of creating. Embrace and absorb the fact that you are engaging in the act of creating, and that is enough. That is all you need to do. You don't have to, strive to paint the next Mona Lisa. You don't have to, be in a museum. You don't have to, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is engage in the act of creating, and that is enough, right? The process of exploration, the thrill of experimentation. Create. Don't fixate on achieving a perfect final product, right? We do want to get to the finish line, but we don't have to feel like it has to be so perfect that we can't even finish. I'm pointing to myself because I do that a lot. Every brushstroke, every misstep is a step in your artistic journey. Every failure, every mistake, that is growth. That is how you grow and get better. Celebrate the small wins, the messy, wonky beauty of your creative process. All right? Embrace the act of creating, not the act of getting it perfect. Number two, silence the inner critic. Right? We talked about this in day one. That voice in your head sits on your shoulder, tells you you're not good enough, you're not an artist, you're not going to make it, it's not going to look good, they're going to laugh at you, this blah, 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 blah. Recognize it for what it is. It's your self-doubt impersonating a helpful critic. The inner critic is our protection. We bring it forth when we're scared, when fear starts setting in, and we might just face rejection. The inner critic comes in and tries to protect us. Are they really helping us? Is our inner critic really helping us? Or is it just preventing us from moving forward? This is a learning experience instead of, I am a failure. I provided my course on Soulful Soul Cards because it's always changing the narrative. Changing, when you say the word I am, how do you finish that sentence? The words that you utilize to finish the sentence are really, really important. And sometimes within our creative process, we tend to embrace, unfortunately, the negative. Man, I am not good enough. I'll share with you, I do a lot of collaborations with other artists. So I participate in Paint Your Heart and Soul. Let's Face It with Kara Bullock. Life Book with Tamara Laporte. Effie Wild, I've done a ton. And, when my class posts, everybody does the art and then I have to go on Facebook, their group, the private group, and I have to comment and provide positive feedback. And, everyone, a lot of artists are so hard on themselves, and some of the words that they use to describe their work is just so like, come on, it's beautiful. And when I see the photo of them posting their work, I'm like, wow, I mean, just when I teach a class in like Let's Face It or Lifebook, and to see how people interpret my class is absolutely amazing. And some people are, I'm just like floored. I'm like, wow, you got it and you took it a whole other direction, but wow, that is your style. And all I hear is, this is my attempt. I really didn't like it, but it was a great class. I had fun, but I really didn't like it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's beautiful. Did you not like it because it didn't look like mine? Or did you not like it because you were struggling with the process, which is perfectly fine because this is new for you. If you're new to painting portraits, of course you're going to struggle with it. Things don't happen overnight, they're not immediate. Painting portraits takes time, takes a lot of practice. And I'm always like, tempted. I wish I could just go through the Facebook page and be like, shake them, be like, stop it. You are doing an amazing job. This is beautiful. Look at your style coming out. Yes, it doesn't look like mine. It shouldn't look like mine. It looks like you, and it is amazing. And I wish I could, when I do these collaborations, I wish that I could meet some of these people face to face and just tell them it is beautiful. But I just always feel that, we tend to see the negative and we fail to see our amazingness. And sometimes we just need to listen to ourselves and silence that inner critic and say, shush, this is amazing. And just tell yourself it's amazing. Because you know why it's amazing? You engaged in the act of creating, and that is amazing. Surround yourself with supportive people. Remember, I said that when you want feedback or criticism, make sure it's in a space that you feel comfortable. When you have people around you, that definitely helps your confidence and silences that inner critic. All right, next, challenge perfectionism. I know we all struggle with perfectionitis. We do. It's a myth. It doesn't exist. Accept that imperfection, accept the wonkiness. It's going to happen. And allow it, embrace it. It's great. Embrace the uniqueness of your voice, your style, your perspective. Celebrate the wonky, the quirks, the flaws, the failures, the mistakes. This is your style coming through. This is growth. Seek inspiration, not imitation. I mentioned, I think it was I'm trying to remember which day it was, but the book, Steal Your Work by Austin Kleon, right? Surround yourself, right? My tickler file, ripping out magazines, printing out photos of paintings that I love and artists, right? Surround yourself with what inspires and motivates you and art that you love. Put it up around you, but don't compare, right? You don't need to compare yourself. Use it as fuel. Use it as little tiny bits of inspiration to help you. It's like your support, that it's just every artist is there supporting you. So when you feel stuck, that inspiration and motivation can help you get unstuck, right? It's like a million helping hands. I put artwork, when I'm working on a piece, I'll put artwork all over the place, just so I can be like, oh, I'm struggling with this nose. But I love how artist A interprets the nose in their work. Let me bring that forward and see and bring it close to my work and see if I can, if I can learn to understand how they resolve an issue. Right? So surround yourself with inspiration. Don't compare yourself with that inspiration, but surround it and let your own experiences and your emotions and perspectives guide your artistic choices. All right, next, celebrate the small wins. I think we talked about this in another challenge, one of the days challenge, right? Every finished piece, I'm always happy when I finish a piece. Every small little brush stroke, every completed project, every idea that is set forth and you go forward is a victory, even if it's not perfect, right? The painting that I submitted of my self-portrait of me painting, right? I wasn't happy with it at all. It wasn't perfect. And then I find out that another artist that I look up to feels that my painting is better than hers. So, celebrate your wins. You finished the painting. I finished the painting. I submitted it. That's a win. That's a win. It's a win. I didn't feel confident enough about it, but it's a win. Same with the portrait of Kamala Harris that I had to submit. I was scared to press the send button. I was losing confidence, but I submitted it. It's a win. I finished a painting. I did it in 7 days. They're about to send me a check. It's a win. Was it perfect? Did I love it? I could have gone back and made adjustments, but nope. I'm done. I got it done in the deadline. It's a win. So celebrate your achievements, no matter how small or simple they may seem. Celebrate it. Celebrate the fact that you finished a course and you were able to finish a painting, or you were able to do an exercise without tearing it up. And if you were tearing it up, just do it again. It's there for you to do over and over again. Celebrate all of it. Celebrate the fact that you are sitting right now at your easel creating. That's a celebration. So track your progress, keep a creative journal. I always say this, and document your artistic journey, document your struggles, your wins, the things that you need to work on. Write it down. When you're working on a painting and you're struggling, write it down so you know how to fix it later on. Seeing your growth over time can be a powerful confidence booster. All right, next, step outside your comfort zone. Take challenges and take risks. Fear of failure, rejection, it keeps us stuck. It keeps us sitting right here in this space and we don't move forward. I said I'm trying to remember my days now, but submitting work to juried shows, right? It was day 2, perfection and fear, and how I was going to encourage myself to submit to more juried shows, because that was a big fear factor for me. The rejection, I struggled with that rejection. So I'm going to challenge myself, push myself outside of my comfort zone and do it. If I don't make it in, that's okay. It's a win because I submitted it. And guess what's happening? It's exposing me to the world that I am an artist. It's creating validations. It's validating me as an artist. People are seeing my name in my work. So grow, push boundaries, do things that you're uncomfortable with. Try new techniques, experiment with different mediums, explore subjects that you're not comfortable exploring. And you never know, you might find something that works. And this next one, I think I repeat it all the time. Share your work. Don't be scared. I know it's tough. I know it's scary. You don't want people to make fun of you or, give you feedback you don't want to hear. Again, share your space in spaces that you feel comfortable in. You don't need to share to the whole entire world if you don't want to. You can share it in a private Facebook group or just a private group. I know we're vulnerable and our work is inner to us. It's something that we create from the inside. And I know it's really tough, but just find safe spaces that you feel comfortable with and share your work. It's really, really important because you need to hear the positive feedback because you will. People say you're doing a great job. And you need to hear that. And I know it sounds silly or, that, oh, people just saying that just to be saying it. But I think it's important to hear you're doing a great job. This is awesome. You are amazing. I think you need to hear that feedback. It's really important and it connects you with other people. You get to hear what other people struggle with and you'll be like, hey, I struggle with that same thing. And it helps build confidence. Participate again in art shows, submit your work, let the world see that you are an artist. The positive feedback you receive can be a huge motivator. And if anyone gives you any feedback that you don't like, guess what? If it's online, you can delete the comment. You can keep scrolling. You can block them. And usually that's what happens. If I post my work and, I'll give you an example. I posted a piece, a work in progress recently. And I wasn't finished with it. I still had a lot to do. And I'm still kind of working through the painting. So there was a lot of things that I was thinking about. And, I wasn't done. And so, somebody they private messaged me on Instagram. And, I know when they comment this way, I know it's not going to be good. So they comment, please take this as constructive. And then in my head, I'm like, ugh. And they're like, well, the portrait, it was a portrait and I put a tree in the background and I was still kind of working the composition. I wasn't done. I was just kind of sharing what I had worked on that day. The composition isn't right and get rid of the tree. It was annoying feedback. I didn't ask for it. And so I was like, should I respond? Should I just kind of let it go? But I was pissed off because I'm like, well, did I ask you for your feedback? I didn't ask you. So I responded and I was like, well, is it really constructive criticism if I didn't ask for it, right? If somebody's just giving you criticism, out of the blue, because they saw your work standing there, but you didn't ask for it. Like you didn't go, hey, so-and-so, I'm struggling with this. Can you give me some feedback on how I can possibly get the composition to be a little bit more interesting and create more energy in the piece? But no, he just went out of his way to tell me that my composition was wrong. I didn't ask for it. So I didn't take it as constructive. I took it as it wasn't nice. Like, well, you could have kept your comment to yourself, right? And I also responded because I think social media can be really wicked at times because I think people, since social media has become this big thing, people have this ability, this new kind of superpower that they think that they can comment on people's posts. And they can, put in their own opinion, right? Or feeling, and nobody asked you for it, but they're going to put their opinion or their feeling, they're going to put their 2 cents in, right? And no one asked you. It's my page. Why are you coming onto my page and putting your 2 cents? Why don't you go to your own page and put your 2 cents? But I think in social media, it's a lot easier to do that, when all you have to do is type in the little comment bar, but you don't, if you had to do that face to face, you wouldn't do that, right? And now that we have this communication where we don't have to go face to face, it's really easy to just type, um, something in a little bar, and we can just say whatever, and that's okay. And people kind of feel like, oh, well, I can say whatever I want then, right? And it's like, no. And so social media, be careful with social media, especially as an artist. And if you feel that you are not in a safe space, if you feel that someone has commented in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable or isn't constructive, you didn't ask for it, I would definitely suggest hitting keep scrolling, ignore it, or blocking them. Don't be scared. Block everyone if you have to. Set up anything so that you don't have to deal with that, because you shouldn't have to deal with that. Use the block. I use it all the time. So, my rambling on, but so you want to encourage, you share your work, you want to encourage others to provide positive feedback. I feel like the positive feedback is a huge confidence builder because it really helps you understand the direction that you need to go in. It helps you problem solve, and all those things really help build confidence. All right. Remember, confidence is a journey. It's not a destination. It is a lifelong journey. You're never going to make it to the end. You're going to continuously learn and grow and thrive and get better as an artist, as a creator, and your confidence will get better and better as you continue to practice and play and put in the work. Your confidence will build. Yes, I feel more confident as an artist when I'm teaching. It's rare that my heart starts pounding and I start hyperventilating. I don't really do that anymore because I feel confident that I can get in front of people and I can speak and I won't ramble on. But I taught, in the 7 years that I worked at that Paint and Sip, I must have taught like 500 classes. I probably did. So, confidence is learned and you get there, but you will face, from time to time, you'll face those little evils, the inner critic, the imposter syndrome. You'll want things to be perfect. You fear getting rejected, right? Those things will never go away. It's just utilizing all of these little tips and techniques to help you get through it and move forward. All right. So building creative confidence is a continuous process. It's not a one-time achievement. Again, you're still going to be battling all the little evils of, the things that prevent us from moving forward. There will be ups and downs. You'll make mistakes. There'll be failures, self-doubt, bursts of inspiration. You'll go through the roller coaster. Even if you've been painting for 20, 50 years, you're still going to feel those feelings. But be patient with yourself. Celebrate your progress, the little wins, the big wins, and keep creating. It's the practice. It's the repetitive nature of creating over and over again that will build the confidence and help you grow. Every step you take on your artistic journey is a step towards a more confident and empowered you. It's the Wonder Woman pose. It's you saying, I'm going to fake it until I become it, right? The more you create, the more you practice and incorporate play within your creative process, the more you will become it and you will thrive and bloom, and you'll look at yourself today and you'll see the person that you were yesterday or a year ago, and you'll be really surprised. You will see your growth. All right, enough with my rambling on. So thank you so much. I hope this discussion helped you. I hope me being transparent in how I feel within my creative practice helps you, right? It empowers you to say, hey, we all feel this way. Wow, I'm glad she feels that way too, and she shared it. So I hope that was helpful. So we're almost done. We're almost to our 7 days. Tomorrow, we will focus on day 6, and I'm going to keep that a surprise. I am going to surprise you with what I'm going to be talking about. And we're going to continue the discussion on confidence, more stories, more me being transparent and opening myself up to my creative process. But I think I'm going to tell you the story of how I quit my job and became an artist and dealt with all the things, those different barriers and hills and valleys that I faced to even make that decision. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my stories, and I'll see you tomorrow.